Hello, and welcome to Offstage with the LA Master Chorale. I'm Grant Gershon, the Kiki and David Gindler Artistic Director of the LA Master Chorale.
And I'm Jenny Wong, the Associate Conductor of the LA Master Chorale.
And today we're incredibly honored to be speaking with the one and only, one of the most beloved and most often performed composers on the planet, and a person whose music speaks to us with incredible depth and poignancy, Dr. Morten Lauridsen. Hello, Morten. Hello,
And
welcome.
happy to be with you today here from my
Uh,
island home up in Washington State.
Well, I was just going to ask you if you could maybe tell us a little bit about where you are and maybe share with us what a typical day for you is like, especially during this time of isolation.
Sure. For those of you who have seen the Shining Knight film, it gives some background on my close connection with this entire area. The islands at the very north hand tip of Washington, right on the border of Canada. As I sit here today, I'm looking across the Salish Sea towards Vancouver Island, and right around the corner is Victoria, BC. Having been raised in Portland, Oregon, but being a Washington native, being born in Eastern Washington, going to school at Whitman College for a while. My family has deep roots here in the Seattle area and deep roots in the San Juan Islands. I used to go as a kid to my aunt and uncle's place on a very remote island called Waldron Island, only 4.5 square miles. And when they bought their place in 1970 or so, there were only 11 people on the island. I bought an abandoned general store on the waterfront back in 1975. I still have it. I have another 10-acre piece with a lot of waterfront on the west side of Waldron Island too. And it was in these cabins that I did most of my composing that was recorded for the LA Master Chorale. I finished Dominium Mysterium there. I finished the Lux Eterna there on a $50 piano in a place with no electricity, no running water, basically a shack on the beach. But it was exactly what I needed. It was a chance to be in a complete silence, except for the sea, birds, and I found that I need that for my composing, and I've been very successful over the years by being able to disassociate myself with anything except that $50 piano in a pristine place in nature. And I think I learned that as a very young man, as a 19-year-old, spending 10 weeks alone on a lookout for the Forest Service when I was a fire watcher all those years ago. And at 19 years of age, made the decision to go into music upon that lookout. And so right in this terrible time for our country, being isolated here is second nature to me. I am speaking to you from a year-round home on another island, a nearby island called San Juan Island in the San Juan Islands. This is a larger island and it has a couple of communities here. But I had always thought that I was going to build a year-round place on Waldron Island, but my life changed. I need electricity. I need communications. Aside from cell phones on Waldron Island, there's basically nothing there. And so I decided to buy a home here. And so I'm living here year-round. I still have my properties on Waldron Island. And my typical day here these days, I like to work in the morning, composing, reading poetry, which I do every day, doing my communications, which I need to do every day. I get a lot of mail daily. And then in the afternoons, working on my property here. This house is on 5.5 acres. I have a lot of land to take care of. And so it's a very, very beautiful place to be. I'm a very fortunate man.
It's so great to hear that you're doing, so well and surrounded by so much beauty during this time. You mentioned earlier, Dr. Lauridsen, that you have to maintain and do housework as well. And I find that, myself, like I'm sure a lot of our audiences, have trouble imagining you doing anything other than composing and being at the piano. So can you, share a bit with us, I guess, if you didn't become a composer, is there a different kind of career path or profession that you think would have made you as happy as you are now?
I don't think so, but I think that if I were not in composition, I would be in some sort of a creative field, and I think that field would be in writing of some sort. I'm a huge history buff. I read that a great deal. I've been reading for the second or third time, the Barbara Tuchman book, A Distant Mirror, about history in basically the 1300s, which, by the way, rings a sound bell with us now because we experienced the plague at that particular time that wiped out a great deal of the population of the world. And here we are in a similar situation now. Also reading a wonderful biography of Harry Truman. I like this kind of reading. I like poetry. I read it every day, as you know, and I have spent my life setting to music those poems that have struck me deeply, that Grant has performed. Rilke, Lorca, Neruda, Dana Gioia, Robert Graves, wonderful passages in Latin from the Bible that I wrote mainly when I was working as composer in residence with Paul Solomonovich. Of course, that was right up his alley.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, thinking about Paul and that relationship, I'm wondering if there's a composer from the past that you particularly either identify with or feel like that you connect with in a special way.
Johannes Brahms.
Yeah.
And it was very interesting to me. I remember very distinctly as a very young child studying piano and being very excited to play a little piece and running up to my mother and saying, "Mom, the composer of this piece has my name because my middle name happens to be Johannes." But I've admired Brahms. The music there is so beautifully crafted. It's so solid. It's so moving. It stands up to analysis. Everything about it is just first rate. And so I feel a very close connection with Brahms.
Well, I'd love to move to a set of very deep, profound questions.
All right.
Starting with okay, everybody will want to know this. Are you a dog or a cat person, or neither, or some other animal?
Big time dog person. I have the most beautiful golden retriever right here. She turns 1 year old next week. That's the second golden I had. I had one years ago. For 11 years. And then I waited until I came to retired from USC and came here on this beautiful place for a puppy. So my golden retriever named Sunshine is part of the family.
Sunshine. Nice.
That is so sweet. And here's a second of our deeply profound questions. What is your favorite pop album?
If it were a pop album, I would vote for Graceland. I love Graceland.
Ah, yeah.
It was just so unique.
Yeah.
It had the kind of same uniqueness you were thunderstruck by it, the same way as I was when Sgt. Pepper's came out.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a whole new direction. And I just think that's a fabulous album. But I listen to all kinds of music, and I'm a great Joni Mitchell fan, and I listen to jazz as well. And so, but that's the answer. I think I would say Graceland. I think that would be it.